The first of two big events to take place here at the Yard of Bricks Indianapolis Motor Speedway is ready to go green. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome for the first time in this channel to the NNSCRA Indy Lights 250 presented by Blame Shelley Insurance. Now, this is two races rolled into one. Number one, this is a qualifying race in which the winner and the other two drivers to finish on the podium will transfer into the first ever NNSCRA Indy 500. But at the same time, it's also a main event race where these drivers are going to be battling. They're going to want to be the very first winner of the Indy Lights 250 on this channel. 50 laps of racing here today. This race could go one of two ways. These drivers could be overly aggressive very early on. We could see some massive wrecks, or these drivers will mind their P's and Q's. We'll go into a long green flag run. This could be a race that could come down to fuel strategy. But I think the most critical spot is going to be at the beginning of this race. On the pole position for today's event is going to be Alex Tanker, but normally at Indianapolis, it doesn't normally matter where you start the race, especially if this race is going to go into fuel strategy. We could see a lot of drivers that are starting this race near the rear be able to work their way up towards the front, and of course, it all matters on how you maneuver the draft here. The draft is super, super important. Allows these drivers to be able to get runs, slingshots. Also allows them to take the air off the spoiler of drivers either ahead of them or beside them to be able to slow them down. It's all about aerodynamics here today at Indianapolis. Why don't we take a look and see about our keys to the race. Number one, get single file as soon as possible. The reason being, Indianapolis, while it's a very fast racetrack, it's not exactly the most spacious. These drivers are going to be starting this race side by side in double wide formation. And with that slipstream they're going to get and the runs they'll be able to get, they might be tempted to make it 3 wide going into the corners. Down into entrance of turn number 1 as well as the entrance of turn number 3, the track seems to close up from 2 lanes to about 1.5 lanes, and there is no way you can fit 3 race cars side by side there without some kind of problem. So if we see them make a 3 wide move down into the corner, we can expect that more than likely they're not going to be able to keep it together, and we're going to have ourselves a pretty violent wreck. So if they can get single file as soon as they possibly can, we have a chance of this thing going green. If this thing does go green, then that brings us to our second key. It's up to the pit crews and the crew chiefs to start strategizing when is the best time to come to pit road, because fresh rubber means lap times, and of course they're going to want to have enough fuel to be able to make it to the end. More than likely, I believe the fuel window here would make it that they would have to have at least 2 green flag pit stops if we went from the start of the race to the end of the race completely under green flag conditions. And last but not least, we already touched on this a little bit, but it's very important, be able to maneuver the draft. You're going to want to know when to slingshot, when to use that momentum, and when to hang back. Maybe it's not the best time to make the move. You're also going to want to make sure that you're in a pack with other drivers, so that way you end up don't losing the pack that's in front of you. If you end up being in a second pack, you're always going to want to be basically treating this like a super speedway, and if you don't, you're not going to probably win this race. Let's go down trackside and get those most famous words.
Drivers, start your engines!
Command given as we get set to roll off here, and as you look down the bottom of your screen, it'll show you your starting lineup for today's Indy Lights 250. 25 drivers in this field. Only 3 will transfer into the Indianapolis 500. The numbers 1, 2, and 3 in the Indianapolis 500 reserved for the 3 drivers that transfer in this race. So while we're definitely going to have drivers battling for the win, I think there'll be some drivers that won't necessarily be too disappointed about finishing second and third, because that means they get to take part in the main event. There you see them coming out through the turn number 2 area. Indianapolis is a very strange racetrack in the fact that there are very, very long front and back straightaways from turn 4 down to turn 1, and then from turn 2 down into turn 3, but the other straightaways from 1 to 2 and from 3 to 4 are very, very small. And we'll be seeing these drivers hitting upwards of 210 miles per hour. And like I said, with the speeds they're going to be carrying, double wide is usually okay as long as they know what they're doing, but 3 wide, there's just no way that you can go into this corner they're approaching right here, this entrance of turn 3, 3 wide over 200 miles per hour. As a matter of fact, a lot of drivers in other series that we've run here aren't nearly going that fast and still can't keep 3 wide without wrecking. Right there, you just saw it, that wall right there. The cars that are on the outside line just cannot carry that much speed without scraping the wall. They usually bounce off down into the car that's in the middle line, then into the car in the inside line. And another thing about Indianapolis, very, very difficult to avoid a wreck when it takes place, especially in the portions of turns 1 and 3 on the racetrack. But here we go, 50 laps of racing. Who's going to win here today, and what 3 drivers will transfer into the Indy 500? For the first time on this channel, the NNSCRA Indy Lights 250, presented by Blame Shelley Insurance, is green. Let's roll! One of the keys of the race, try to get single file as soon as possible. Do not go 3 wide. Let's see if they're going to be able to succeed in doing that. But they're all double wide down this back straightaway here. Top 2 single file. Tanker there in the 77 leading the way. I'm sorry, in the 6th leading the way, I should say. And we're going to have a challenge here for the lead right away, as here comes B Fraser to the inside in the 77. Trying to lead the first lap. Now remember, this is basically a one-off race, so there's really no bonus points awarded for leading a lap, leading the most laps, etc. Basically, all these drivers are battling for is a chance to win or a chance to transfer in 2nd and 3rd. And you can look right there as he crossed the line. 196.920 was the lap time for the 77 of B Fraser, and that was just the first lap, which is basically considered a warm-up lap. And now Steve Morgan, Charles Sandfer, they're going to battle for 2nd place behind the 77, heading into turn 3 at nearly 220 miles per hour. I think they were about 218 miles per hour. Sandfer will move into 2nd place now with Zach Rogers to the inside. He's going to complete the pass for 3rd. And you see in the back there, they're now single file. Couldn't tell if that was Kyle Keith or Vince Almariego. It was one of the target cars out of Chip Ganassi Racing. As now Jacob Long, the 67, he's now moved up to the 4th position, and right behind him, you got the number 28. I believe that's 28 of J Lagasee, is now battled potentially for the lead. Charles Sandfer trying to use the slingshot here to the inside of B Fraser, can't do it. Zach Rogers, they were lined up there coming out of turn 2. Sandfer thought he had enough momentum to get to the inside of the race leader Fraser. Couldn't do it at the moment. You see Rogers there, got kicked up to the high side. He's going to lose 3rd and 4th place. I believe that's the 28 of J Lagasee moving into 3rd position. Sandfer now going to try again here on B Fraser for the lead. If he's going to make the move to the inside, he's got to be the left rear quarter panel by the time they exit turn number 2. He's trying to get there. He might have his front wing to the left rear quarter panel, but that's not enough. And now he's going to have to tuck back in line. Now he's under fire, and I'm sorry, that was not Lagasee. That was actually Ryan Butcher there in the 20 car. I am not exactly what you would call a huge Indy fan. I don't follow, Indy racing all that often, and so therefore I'm not 100% knowing what the different cars are and everything. As Alex Gray moves into the 4th position, and Zach Rogers, who saw kicked up the high side, he now has fallen back into 5th place. Now 10% of the way through this race when they cross the line. These drivers so far keeping it clean and green, and so now, as you see, all the way through the field, with the exception back there of a battle, that was 27 D Hamill and somebody else that were side by side. But aside from that, really not a whole lot of aggressive racing going on through the field. So these drivers did exactly what our first key was, and that's get single file. Now we might be able to start concentrating on the 2nd key, and that is the pressure on the pit crews and the crew chiefs of when they're going to have to maybe make green flag pit stops. And like I said, they're going to have to probably pit at least twice before this race is over, unless someone's able to come away with a really, really good strategy. Charles Sandfer now moves into the race lead with Butcher into 2nd, Gray into 3rd. Charles Sandfer was able to shake B Fraser. Now Fraser's starting to fade back. He now lost 4th to Zach Rogers. And now Ryan Butcher wants to turn at the front of the field. You saw right there how Charles Sandfer was able to stay alongside of the 20 heading into turn 3. The reason being, a lot of these drivers realize, and I've noticed this as well in online races I've done in the past, you go right up against that outside wall, somehow you get more straightaway speed than when you're down on the inside line. I don't know what the difference is. I guess maybe it gives you a little bit better of a diamond entry into turn 3. You're able to carry that speed, but that outside line does definitely get a much better run. And of course the fact too that so many drivers migrate up towards the wall allows for a better slipstream and a better traffic group, if you will, than on that inside line. Rogers with a big run. Ooh, there may have been a little bit of contact between him and Ryan Butcher as he tries moving him out of the way. These are open wheel cars, so contact is usually frowned upon here because normally if you get your tire caught with contact in another driver's tire, that's not going to end well for either one of you. Rogers, though, will complete the pass. Led the lap as well, as now the battle is on for second place behind him. Ryan Butcher going to lose that spot. But there's Alex Tanker moving up into third behind the 15 of J Jefferson, who now will make the move to the inside of Zach Rogers for the race lead. So Tanker started on pole, faded back. Now he's back up here in the top 5. J Jefferson there in the 15, trying to make the move on Zach Rogers, can't do it. Back here for the 5th position. Ryan Butcher on the high side, to the inside, Alex Gray in the 98. It's all going on as they are single file at the front amongst the top 4. Rogers, Jefferson, Tanker, and then the 67 of Jacob Long. And you see back there that light blue car? That is the car that was leading not too long ago, Bobby Fraser in the 77. See how quickly the slipstream and the draft dropped him from the front towards mid-pack. J Jefferson wants the lead, though, is now battle on for third between Long and Tanker. Give it to Long, as there's not a whole lot of grip up there on that top side of the racetrack. Let's watch the 15 of Jefferson, see if he's able to use the run to be able to get by Rogers. He drives a little bit lower into the corner there. But he did not have the run on that turn. Let's see if he gets it this time. Tries to get to the left rear quarter panel. He's there. No, he's not. Car got a little tight there on the inside line. You know, it kind of helps when you've actually been on this racetrack in these type of race cars. You know what these drivers are dealing with, and I've been in these guys' shoes. I know exactly what they're dealing with. And normally, surprisingly enough, the fastest way around this racetrack in these type of cars is to run that middle groove through 1 and 2, 3, and 4. When down on the inside line, you run one of 2 risks, because there's a nice looking pace car. Alex Gray now moving into second, but you run one of 2 risks. Number 1, you notice down there's a rumble strip. You get the car down too low, you get your 2 left side tires on that rumble strip, it loses you a ton of momentum. The rear end of the car wants to come around on you, and then also, if you don't hit that and you're down the inside line, it hurts your corner exit for some reason. You're down way on the bottom. What you basically have to do, and when you're double wide doesn't allow you this luxury, you have to really turn the car hard to the right to be able to get a better exit off of turn 2. You cannot keep the car turned to the left, or else you're going to lose a lot of momentum. Little tricks of the trade you learn as you race these cars. Ryan Butcher with a trick of the trade there, almost a little bit of contact moving Alex Gray out of the way for second. And now he will look like move into the runner-up position. Zach Rogers doing a good job right now. Obviously this is not a restricted plate race, but you kind of have to treat it like one, especially with the fact this track and this kind of race car is so draft reliant. Zach Rogers, you'll notice him kind of doing a little bit of a dance inside, outside, shuffling from lane to lane. The reason he's doing that is he's offering drafting help to one lane, then he moves down, offers drafting help to another lane, trying to keep a reasonable distance between himself and the battle for second so he can stay out in front. Butcher, though, was able to get himself clear of Alex Gray for second, now has his sights set on Zach Rogers, and as these two start to heat up their battle, Jacob Long right there in third, closing in as well. still just about everybody up in this lead pack, so don't count anybody out. And while I'm looking at Zach Rogers out in front, yes, it's true, he's staying ahead of the mayhem behind him, but in terms of aerodynamics also play a huge role into fuel conservation. And with Zach Rogers out in front, he's cutting the wind for all these other drivers. He's the one that's using up the most fuel at this point in time. Now he's not going to have to worry about it. Battle for the lead, Ryan Butcher to the inside. Meanwhile, you saw right there the 77 of Bobby Fraser. He's not only going to get Jacob Long for third, but he's going to try and get Zach Rogers for second. That 77 car is fast. Look at this. 3 birds with 1 stone. Is he going to try and take the lead going here in the corner? Ooh, they're almost 3 wide back there. Ooh, that was close. That was Long, Sandfer, and I think J Jefferson. I think Jefferson may have brushed the wall a little bit. Someone else brushed the wall as well there, the 14 of Steve Morgan, and you can clearly see there's some damage on his machine. You see how the right side wheels are pushed in more towards the body of the race car than the left side wheels. That car got the wall pretty good. They're all trying to make their way around, and that car might be off the pace. It's certainly going to be an issue with his handling, and we may see the 14 be one of the first to hit pit road in just a few moments. But a nice job of saving it, but that also tells me that the tires are going away, because that would have probably been a lack of grip for Steve Morgan. And another car up there almost brushing the wall there, Alex Tanker in the 6. Battling's on for 4th. Zach Rogers got moved out of the way by Ryan Butcher, now trying to fight his way back to the front. I think we're starting to see right now the strongest cars of the race at this point. Doesn't mean they're going to be the same strong cars at the end. 19 of Garcia, Juan Garcia, now is cracked up into the top 5. So there's case in point right there. The reason I'm saying these drivers up at the front right now may not be the drivers up at the front when this thing comes to a close is we've got potential green flag pit stops where adjustments can be made, and some drivers that might be a little too loose, a little too tight, make just the right tweak, and they could be a race-winning contender. Right now, I think it's pretty clear that the best cars on track at this point in time would include Bobby Fraser, Ryan Butcher, and Zach Rogers. Charles Sandfer has now creeped his way up back into the top 5 in 4th place, and Juan Garcia right there as well in 5th. We did have, on the last lap, we had the 4 car of Johnny Gardner up here in 6th place. I'm sorry, make that Josephine O'Neill. And I don't know where that car is faded back to. Looks like, yeah, up there on that top side, getting freight train. Alex Tanker just got by. Jack Lagasee just got by. Alex Gray as well. That just moved Josephine O'Neill back to 9th, just ahead of Paul Minnick in the 3. Zach Rogers way up the track that turn. He'll lose 3rd to Sandfer, and now here comes Juan Garcia for the 4th position. First time we've ever seen Juan Garcia on this channel, at least to my knowledge, in a race that I've commentated. Further up front, Charles Sandfer looking for a spot here on Ryan Butcher. Jack Lagasee in the 28, now moving by for, I think that would be 5th place on Zach Rogers. First time we've seen him up inside the top 5 here today. Sandfer, he is hounding Ryan Butcher for 2nd, but can't make the move. Alex Gray now moves by Zach Rogers. Rogers going to fall outside of the top 10. That was 6th place. He just lost to Alex Gray. He's about to lose 7th to Paul Minnick. Still trapped in the outside line, and wow, Sandfer was battling with Ryan Butcher for 2nd. Butcher doesn't want anything to do with that. He wants the race lead back to the inside of Bobby Fraser. And now look at Juan Garcia going to follow in his tire tracks. He'll get Sandfer for 3rd. Now looks to move to 2nd place. Butcher's going to offer the drafting help up high, though, so that's going to stall out that inside line for the moment. Maybe not. Juan Garcia still hangs tough with Fraser, but he's not going to be able to get the inside of Ryan Butcher, at least for the moment, to get the top position. About to complete 20 laps. We are nearing the halfway point of this race. This race has been green flag for the majority of it all the way from the start of this race. However, we haven't exactly been without incident. We saw Steve Morgan in the 14 14, slapped the outside wall here in turn 3. The car has got visible damage, but apparently at this point he has not brought the car to pit road. Trying to ride it out, I think, here until we get to green flag pit stops. Paul Minnick, first time that we've seen him up inside of the top 5. He just a few laps ago cracked the top 10. That car looks really good here. Apparently he's got himself up with a long run race car. That car looks really, really strong right now, and he made that pass on Ryan Butcher look easy. Paul Minnick to the front. Whoa, for a moment I thought they were 3 wide back there. I think that's the 4 of Josephine O'Neill has now worked her way back up into the top 5. Side by side with, I think that's Bobby Fraser, 77. Just shows you how at this racetrack, if you know how to maneuver the track. Oh, trouble! That was Juan Garcia into the wall. He saved it, but he clearly got up hard into that outside wall there just at the start-finish line. Might have been some contact with Charles Sandfer in the 7. What a save by Juan Garcia, but boy, he hit that outside wall pretty hard. And much like we saw in the 14 of Steve Morgan, you can see the damage on the right side of his machine. Charles Sandfer trying to get by him. Whoa, almost some contact behind him. Oh, there is contact. Good grief. It was J Lagasee, and I couldn't tell who the other car was. That was scary. And we got pit stops. J Jefferson is coming to pit road. He'll lead the first group to pit lane here as we are nearing the halfway point. Zach Rogers, Charles Sandfer, Patrick Smith, Zach Flickinger, Jacob Long part of this, and also Steve Morgan, who has damage. In Canario and Michael Whitman we saw just there, they both either have just come to pit road a lap before or they had lost the draft. One or the other. Paul Minnick out in front now still. When is he going to come to pit road? These drivers pitting just a couple of laps before halfway, which means, yeah, they will have to pit at least one more time before this race is over unless they're willing to pull the ultimate fuel strategy, and Minnick is in. Basically everyone that didn't come to pit road last time is hitting pit road this time. So this says to me, with everyone coming to pit lane this time, this is the farthest they can make it on their tank of fuels, which means that they're going to have to pit again somewhere between laps 44 to 46. Put that in perspective, that's about 4 to 6 laps remaining in the race. So it's going to be a 4-tire stop. I was wondering if it was just going to be 2 tires. Took a little bit of time getting around there to the left side, but Paul Minnick is down and away. Now remember, J Jefferson led the first group down to pit road, so we'll have to see in terms of this pit stop here with the race leader where Jefferson will come out after it all cycles around. Would the fresh rubber Jefferson was able to gain a lap earlier allow him a better lap time to be able to gain track position, maybe the race lead away from Paul Minnick? Alex Gray came in second, comes out second. Not too far back is also the 77 Bobby Fraser. And there you saw the 15 of Jefferson just exiting out of turn number 2. Looks like he might cycle around in 5th, maybe possibly 4th. And now, this is where it starts to get interesting because the green flag pit stops are undoubtedly going to split the field up. These drivers will start to get into tandems of 2, 3, 4, 5 cars. And they will not have the benefit of being all bunched up like they were in the first 20 laps of this race. Alex Gray very quickly going to take the top position away as he was able to utilize the slipstream there all the way from the exit of pit road. So Gray will be the race leader now in the 98 over Paul Minnick in the 3. Remember, Paul Minnick, though, had his car basically set up for a long run. He just made pit stops, so we'll see if his car starts to come to him as this run continues on. Ooh, he almost got a little bit more than he bargained for there. Almost got the wall off of turn 3, which says to me that car is very, very loose on the start. As Alex Gray crossing the line, let's go through the field here if we can. Alex Gray cycles as the race leader. Paul Minnick behind him in second. Looks like Bobby Fraser is going to cycle in the 3rd position as race leader is starting to catch up on the 10. I believe that's of Michael Whitman. Look on down here, throw 11th through 20th. And then there you see everybody's still on the lead lap. There's a couple of cars back here that are in danger of going a lap down. Looking here at Whitman, who's 25th, last car on the lead lap. You've also got Cody Smart in the 12, Ying Canario the 38, and Jacob Long, who was up inside of the top 10 near the beginning stages of this race. He has faded back. You also see the 19 of J Garcia, 14 of Steve Morgan. Apparently they had extended stays to repair the damage on their race cars, and both of them have dropped outside of the top 15. Right now you've got Gray and Minnick, then a ways back, about 2 seconds before you get to Bobby Fraser. J Jefferson, who was the first car to hit pit road, cycles around to the 4th position, and he is just ahead of Ashlin Boyd, who for the first time today has cracked not only into the top 10, but into the top 5. Also, first appearance in the top 10 for Patrick Smith. He's up in 6th. 7th place right now, Z Flickinger, another driver we have not talked about today. Zach Rogers had a very strong car early on, back in 8th. Charles Sandfer right now in 9th, and Carter Friesen just now jumped up into the top 10. Now Michael Whitman was very easily passed, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's off the pace, so Bobby Fraser might have someone to work with when he catches up to him. Here's the group that's producing a little bit more speed as they are nose to tail. Jefferson in the 15, Ashlin Boyd in the 18. They are about 3 seconds back, a little more than 3 seconds. Then you've got this group of 3 with Flickinger, Rogers, and Sandfer, 7th, 8th, and 9th. If they could catch up maybe to the group of Jefferson and Boyd, those 5 cars, they could produce an awful lot of speed to try and catch up to the top 3. And remember, while these drivers obviously are battling to win this race, they're also battling to get into the top 10. You see Friesen in 9th, 10th is Sandfer, 11th right now Ryan Butcher, he had a strong car. Lagasee right now is in 12th, 13th place, J O'Neill almost making contact there. 14th now, Andrew Gonzalez. And currently in the, oh, trouble for Alex Tanker there, brushing the wall. Hangs onto it though. There you saw Cody Smart, Ying Canario just ahead of the leaders. They may end up coming into play here in a few moments, although they are nose to tail. A bit of a gap right now between Gray and Minnick. And this says to me one of two things. Whoa! Minnick almost got the wall there. Either Minnick is just barely in the slipstream and he might be saving fuel, or Gray has a very strong race car here after the adjustment made on pit road, and Paul Minnick's having to wait for his race car to come into him before he can get up there and challenge. Well, that group of 3 caught that group of 2, so now 4th back through 8th are all up together here, now working their way by the lap machine of Michael Whitman. So Jefferson, Boyd, Flickinger, Rogers, and Patrick Smith. I apologize, I said it was Charles Sandfer running in 8th place. He's back in 10th. Gonna try and do something here, but it looks like Patrick Smith may lose this group as he did not get by the lap car of Michael Whitman as easily as these other 4 did. But this is where the speed's going to be. Last time by, Jefferson was about 4.3 seconds from the top position. Let's see if this group, even though they did have a little bit of time getting by Michael Whitman, do they close up the gap between themselves and the race leader? No, it actually gained, the leader gained 0.2. But I don't think that'll last long, because you see there's about maybe 2-3 car lengths back to Paul Minnick, so those 2 are not drafting with each other right now. Bobby Fraser's all by himself, so he's obviously not drafting with these guys. And that group back there, if they remain single file, especially down the straightaways, they're going to probably gain about maybe, I would say, 5 to 7 miles per hour on these other guys. Let's see. 221 miles per hour for Alex Gray going into the corner. I would say that very likely that group back there with Jefferson and company, they could be reaching speeds of 225 going into the corners. So they're definitely going to produce a lot more straightaway speed. But if they continue to race with each other, that's when it's going to hurt their lap times. Again, 220 going into turn 3 for Alex Gray. So for a single car running by himself, Gray is really having some good speed. And he's obviously running a lot faster than Paul Minnick. Minnick has not even been able to utilize the draft to get back to the bumper of the 98. Whether that's on purpose or not, I don't know. It tells me they may have put a little bit of extra package, a little extra tape on the 98 car, helping with some speed here. I don't know. Want to make sure they don't do too much so he doesn't blow up. Bobby Fraser's going to be the first one to get swallowed up by that group of race cars behind him, being led now by the 8 of Z Flickinger. Flickinger, Rogers, and Jefferson, who now may end up picking up Patrick Smith again. Smith and Boyd both ended up losing that group. Looks like they might be able to catch back up. You see them both there. Looks like they still are in the slipstream of that 3-car pack. So now Bobby Fraser's got to figure out, how do I allow this group to merge with me without killing their momentum? Because Fraser would love to be able to utilize the speed this group is producing to be able to catch up to the top 2. Oh, Ashlin Boyd may have lost the draft of this group. Patrick Smith might just barely be clinging on, and now as it's a battle side by side there for what would be 4th place between Rogers and Flickinger, that might help the 22 to stay up with this group, but I don't know about the 18. Right now you've got about 5 seconds from 1st back to 8th, and over 10 seconds back to Carter Friesen in 9th and Josephine O'Neill in 10th. And that group caught up to Bobby Fraser, but then when Rogers decided to make the move for 4th place, they have not really reeled in Fraser. Fraser's been able to keep them at bay. So now Fraser kind of becomes the new official leader of this group, and let's watch the top left of our screen, the intervals, to see if this allows Fraser to be able to catch up to the top 2. I did notice there going into the corner, Fraser only hit about 217 miles per hour. Remember, the leader Alex Gray was going about 220, almost 221 into the corners. So there's obviously a speed differential there. And that time at the line, there was absolutely no difference in the gap between the race leader Alex Gray and 3rd place Bobby Fraser. The gap between Gray and Minnick, who's in 2nd place, has stayed basically around the 4/10 mark. It has not really decreased or increased in the last 10 laps or so. There you see Cody Smart and Canario hitting the line now. Gray is just now exiting turn 4. I don't know if these two are going to encounter the drivers on the tail end of the lead lap or not, but if they do, that could be the scenario that Paul Minnick is waiting for. But that 98 is fast. There's just no doubt about it. All by himself, he's able to hit 220 going into a corner. I don't think there's any draft being offered from behind by the 3 of Paul Minnick. I think that's all the speed of the 98 himself. 221 into the corner. I thought he was going to hit 222. That is a super fast car. Oh, trouble for Paul Minnick. He just got up there and brushed the wall. Not a whole lot of contact, but it certainly scrubbed off speed. Nice job keeping the car underneath him, but Paul Minnick is certainly going to lose some ground now to Alex Gray as a result of that. Yeah, Gray just gained another 2/10. So either they made that race car of Paul Minnick's way too loose for him with the adjustment, either that or he was pushing it way too hard trying to catch up to Alex Gray. Carried way too much speed and the thing drifted up the hill and brushed the wall on him. Not nearly as big an impact as we've seen other drivers take today, like Steve Morgan and J Garcia, but enough to lose in momentum. As this is where the fun is from 3rd place on back. Fraser, Flickinger, Patrick Smith was able to catch back up to this group. Zach Rogers and J Jefferson in this group as well. Ashlin Boyd did indeed lose the draft and has faded back from this group, now riding all by himself in the 8th position. You look at the top left, and the interval has been slowly cutting itself down. Not by a lot, but it has been decreasing. It's now about 3.4 seconds from Fraser up to the leader, Alex Gray. again, these drivers are going to have to probably make at least one more pit stop. We're getting close to that window as well. Within the next 6 to 8 laps, I would say, we're going to see these drivers have to hit pit road for what will be the final time and what we call the money stop. It could be the race to decide the winner of this event. They're obviously going to have to make an adjustment on Paul Minnick, probably get him tightened up for the last run. Also an interesting thing too, if you think about it, you know, these drivers and these race cars, you could put a little bit of extra tape on them as we've got the pit stop starting now. Flickinger is in along with Zach Rogers. So the pit stops are starting a little bit earlier than I expected, about maybe 4 to 5 laps earlier than was predicted. Canario is also in. But I was going to say, if it was going to be with like 4 laps to go, they might put a lot of tape on the car for better downforce and better straightaway speed. I'm not so sure you'd want to put a whole lot of grill tape on the car here with about 10 laps to go. Alex Gray is in, Patrick Smith, and J Jefferson. That will turn the race lead over to the 3 of Paul Minnick. Also hitting pit road there, looked like that was the 2 of Carter Friesen. And also the J Lagasee, Charles Sandfer. That wasn't Lagasee, rather. That was actually Andrew Gonzalez. Jacob Long in as well as Brian Butcher. And here comes some others to pit road as well. That's the 14 of Steve Morgan. 27 of Derek Hamill. So probably Minnick will come in this lap. He stayed out, along with Bobby Fraser, Ashlin Boyd, Josephine O'Neill, J Lagasee, I believe, also stayed out. So those 5 are yet to come to pit road. There you see O'Neill. Yep, there's the other 3. So O'Neill's in, Boyd's in. Oh, a couple other drivers also stayed out there. That was Vince Almariego and Alex Tanker. So they, I believe, now are the last cars to hit pit road. Maybe the 19 of J Garcia might have also stayed out. Yep, there he is coming to pit lane right now. So Gray out in front, fresh tires. I doubt they made any adjustments on that race car. Now we're going to have to see where he is in relation. Oh, wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. That car, something's wrong with that race car. Either he got really loose off the corner or he's pulling to the apron with something amiss on his 98 and something's wrong. He's on the access road. Alex Gray, who had the strongest car here in the second half of this race, something is amiss. That car is decreasing in speed. I don't know if it's mechanical. I don't know if the car blew up. I don't know if he's got a tire going down, but he's in the way of drivers that are leaving pit road. Brings it down to the access road and trying to make it back to pit road. Won't be able to do it. Car comes to a stop there on the exit of turn 2 down the bottom of the racetrack. Was that enough for a caution? It is not. No yellow flag. And I believe the race lead now is turned over to Paul Minnick as a result. Oh, that is a heartbreak for Alex Gray. I honestly think he was en route to winning this race. I don't know what the issue was that caused him to slow off of turn 4. But oh man, that is a heartbreaker. Now the only thing I'm going to say is that car was turning very fast lap times by himself. I almost wonder if maybe they put too much grill tape on that race car and that car might have overheated and blown up. Looking here through the top 5, Minnick with the lead, Fraser second, Jefferson third, Smith in fourth. Here's a battle for fifth between Rogers and Flickinger. Top 10 now are basically all separated by about 13 seconds. Josephine O'Neill now in the 7th spot, 8th place Ashlin Boyd, 9th is Carter Friesen, and right now completing the top 10 scored is Michael Whitman, but I think that's going to change. It does change. I think Whitman just came off of pit road. Trouble again. We got another car in trouble down the inside there. That is the 11 of Sebastian Cucalon. Sebastian was running at the time in the 21st position, was not having a good day, but that car has blown up. So I think these drivers were trying to get themselves some straightaway speed here with putting on the grill tape, and it's going to cost them. Alex Gray on pit road, he still is on the track. I don't know if they're going to try and get that car back out there. Won't make any difference, though. We saw Whitman on pit road. He's a lap down. And Bobby Fraser got around the race leader, Paul Minnick. The 77 is now the top driver. Fraser, who was out in front near the beginning of this race, kind of faded back, and now is out in front once again, and that's with about less than 5 laps to go, before to go when he hits the line this time. Paul Minnick's had a good car. He's just not really had a good car since the first round of green flag pit stops to lead. He lost the lead to Alex Gray, couldn't get to him, and now he loses the lead to Bobby Fraser and can't get to him, it seems. But I would be a little bit worried if that 77 was able to get by the 3 very quickly. That says to me they probably put some grill tape on that race car for extra downforce and extra straightaway speed. We've already had 2 drivers with problems since the last pit stop. Ooh, a little contact with the wall there for Minnick. And Alex Gray, who was leading at the time, have to come to pit road. And we just had the 11 blow up of Sebastian Cucalon. Question is, who might be next? 3 laps to go. Right now, the 3 transfer spots into the Indy 500 are in possession of Bobby Fraser, Paul Minnick, and right now J Jefferson holds the final spot. He's got about 4 seconds between himself and the 22 of Patrick Smith, who's in a fight for that spot with Zach Rogers and Z Flickinger. There you see it right here. These 3 trying to catch up to the 15. As I think that time both Fraser and Minnick may have brushed the wall off of turn 3. And it'll be 2 laps to go, and you saw just up ahead is the 38 of Canario. He could very much play a factor into the outcome of this race. Just had a car, well, I thought pitting, but actually leaving pit road. That's Alex Gray. So whatever the issue was, it was enough for them to fix on pit road and get him back out there, but he obviously will not win this race, will not transfer into the Indy 500. Tough break for that 98 team, but I guess they just want to finish the race. 1.5 laps to go, and that 38 is getting closed up on rather even quicker by the race leader Bobby Fraser. I think the 3 may have hit the wall again there off turn 3. I think Minnick's just trying too hard right now to get up there and win this race. I mean, he's going to make it into the 500 regardless if he brings that thing home in one piece, but he wants to win. White flag in the air, 1 more lap to go. Bobby Fraser trying to win this thing. It's the first time Bobby Fraser's ever taken part in a race that I've commentated, and he definitely wants to make his mark. He's going to try and get by the 38 of Canario. I'm not sure that's such a wise decision. He doesn't really have to. It's about 7/10 back to Paul Minnick, whose car is obviously not handling to his liking. Fraser, is he just going to let Canario be ahead of him crossing the line here? Ooh, a little contact maybe. Got close, trying to take the rear off, or the air off the spoiler. He'll get to the inside of him, but I don't think he's going to pass him. But Bobby Fraser's going to win the Indy Lights 250 here today at Indianapolis. He will get his first win on this channel, at least to my knowledge. He will also transfer into the Indy 500, along with Paul Minnick, who gets second and officially getting third. Just barely a second over that contingency behind him will be J Jefferson. Those 3 will take part in the Indianapolis 500 for the first time on this channel under the NNSCRA moniker. Go back to that last pit stop. Bobby Fraser was able to get off pit road, past Paul Minnick, and not look back. Almost kind of pulled an Alex Gray from the first cycle of pit stops, and had the speed to hold on and get the win. We saw him up at the front earlier on in this race. Then he kind of faded back, but made his appearance back at the front when it mattered the most. And we look here at the official standings. Bobby Fraser with the win, Paul Minnick second, and completing the podium, J Jefferson. They will represent the cars 1, 2, and 3 in the Indy 500. Just coming up short by about 8/10 with Zach Rogers. He'll have to settle for 4th here today with Patrick Smith in 5th. Z Flickinger gets 6th, 7th for Carter Friesen. 8th will be Ashlin Boyd, Josephine O'Neill in 9th. And completing your top 10 was Charles Sandfer. Andrew Gonzalez, nice to see him back as he finishes in the 11th position. Ryan Butcher was strong early on, faded back there midway point of the race. Finishes in 12th though. Daniel Voyles popped up into the top 15 late for a 13th place run. J Lagasee in 14th, and Jacob Long was also strong early on, but he faded back up to 15th. Vince Almariego was 16th. Pole sitter Alex Tanker finishes 17th, 18th for Cody Smart, 19th was Derek Hamill, and then basically everybody else on down had issues in one way or another. J Garcia, 20th, Steve Morgan, 21st. They both had hit the wall. In Canario, Michael Whitman both had lost the draft early. Canario was the last car to finish on the lead lap. Whitman a lap down. We saw the issue for Alex Gray. We don't know what the problem was. We don't get any conclusion to that story. He finishes 5 laps down, managed to finish the race, but we don't know if it was a tire problem, if it was a mechanical issue. The car decreased in speed and could not make it back around to the pit stall, so maybe it could have been fuel. I don't know. And the only driver that officially retired out of the race in the closing stages, the car blew up on Sebastian Cucalon, so he'll finish in 25th place. But the most important spots, first, second, third, Bobby Fraser, Paul Minnick, J Jefferson. They will join 37 other drivers in the first ever NNSCRA Indy 500 presented by Blame Shelley Insurance. That'll be the next race on tap here that you guys will see on this channel. So until then, thank you all for tuning in to today's race. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. This was a fun race to commentate, a fun race to watch. Maybe we'll do this again next year. Who knows? But until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching Protecting the NNSCRA Off-Lane Racing at its best. We'll see you guys next time for the Indianapolis 500.